Hello and good morning to you. This is Cliff Graves from Trainwell Boxing. Sunday the 23rd of March, 10 to 7. Everybody's tucked up, asleep, neighbours asleep, so I am having to talk with a lowered voice. I hope you can understand and appreciate that. So today's topic is colour combat, and I have had a taste of it. Now, before I go any further, libelous and slander is only applicable, it's only applicable when you are telling untruths purposefully. And that is not the case here. I am not being spiteful in any way, shape, or form in any way. I am reviewing. I'm giving my opinion. So anyone interested in taking up colour has the whole picture. Now, if I was star rating colour, for example, say on Trustpilot or one of the review sites where they have a starring 5-star rating, I would give it three stars. And that's actually a good thing to have, colour combat, because it doesn't put you in the 5-star thing of conceitedness, and then one of your students goes out and very sadly gets fatally injured, is it? So it's a plus point. I also like colour combat humility and sensibility when they say, we don't have all the answers. And I like that because that shows openness, honesty, integrity. So, right from the get-go, as a newbie into colour combat, you will be training how to defend against the knife attack. So I've got my coffee. Have to have my coffee first thing. And they'll deal with all of the dangers of knife attacks. Most of them. They'll deal with the infamous sewing machine. They'll deal with the ice pick overhead. They'll deal with the one up against the neck. They'll deal with the one behind. They'll deal with the one when they are on top of you on the floor. I'm yet to see how they would deal with a machete attack, which if somebody had a machete, this is your machete. It's not, but it's for the sake of purposes. They're going, it's not necessarily, I think it has got a sharp edged point, which if you got it jabbed into the neck wouldn't do you much good, would it? But if you had pulled out a machete or a hand axe, I think you're going to be attacking like this, slashing. That was never covered. That was never covered in my lessons. And the other thing is where they do cover it, but I think it gets onto more of a, when it's more of an advanced level with multiple attacks. But that obviously wasn't possible because where I was training, students were crying off or had cried off. I'm not sure what the problem was, but there wasn't any other students training at Kalah, Exeter, apart from me. Just me. Just me. There was talk of one guy who was going to come down from Taunton, but allegedly he wasn't the right fit for Kalah, and that didn't happen. And I never trained with a partner. I trained with the instructor. Well, I've talked about that. I'm not going to go back over that. That's water under the bridge now. But I personally feel Kalah combat fits well for military personnel and security type personnel and police. I really do. Part of what you learn is control of the free floating arm that's got the sharp edged weapon in. And I like that. But then once both of your hands have got hold of that weapon, I think that's where the problems arise. Yes, you can do the kneeing into the groin bit. Yes, you can. But you've got to get that in to the groin, haven't you? What happens if you don't? To pull off a headbutt, we've talked about this before, to pull off a headbutt is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. But you've got to be at the same height. You can't have too much of a height disparity. And if a 6'3" male is attacking a 5'4" female, then you've got a height disparity where I'm not certain that a headbutt is gonna get right to that target there. That's where you want it. That's where you want a headbutt. You want to try headbutting on the jaw. You could try headbutting across the cheekbone or above the eye to cut the eye. But here, because I've had it before in boxing by accident and on purpose, and also out on the street, I've had that before, and that is soul destroying when you get that in. But I think you've got to be of equal height to pull it off. So you've got the knee to the groin, which if you get it right underneath the sack, us gentlemen know will bring you literally down to your knees. It's a fight stopper. So yeah, I dig that, but it's getting it there. It's getting it there. Whilst all the time your attacker, he could be on crack, she could be rather on crack cocaine, high on crack cocaine. You might need them into the groin 3 or 4 times, and they might say, well, what's that about? I feel no pain. Then they talk about biting. Now, again, I have bitten people in fights. Never started trouble. I've had it come to me where I've had to deal with some nasty individuals. And biting does work, but you've got to be biting to the right spots. The ear, yeah, that ain't very nice to get your ear bitten off. The end of your nose, yeah. A finger, yeah. Side of the neck, perhaps, maybe if you can get it in there. But don't forget that biting, I think, has to be instinctational. It's just been a weird instinct. When we've been grappling, I can't remember, but I've got hold of that hand and that finger, and I have gone for it. It's normally been when we've been grappling on the floor. And on several occasions I've bitten, not just the once. So I know of biting's efficacy. I also know that it can be highly ineffectual. It can be highly ineffectual. Because if you try biting somebody on the shoulder, which my instructors say, oh, bite on the shoulder, bite on the shoulder, bite on the shoulder, he attacks, and then very annoyingly, he's running a commentary through. He's saying, right now, knee, now grab, now bite. I'm thinking, but fuck off. Just leave it to me. Just let me do it naturally how I would do it. You're disorientating. Right, take down. Let me do it. You've shown me the techniques. You've shown me what to do. Let me do it. If we're doing it for real, don't keep barking in my ear because you're disorientating me. Just let me do it. It becomes something that is not of instinct, biting. And when that happens, if you've got something else, you're like, get off me. Well, what do you think is going to happen to your teeth? They could run the risk of taking all your teeth out. The next part of it seems to be getting the attacker to the ground by unbalancing them and pulling them down to the ground. This part is where it leaves me. I think if you are security personnel or police officer, something like that, then yeah, that's your ulterior motive. Get them down to your throat, get them down onto the ground, release the sharp-edged weapon, handcuff them, formally arrested. Get them. But for a civilian to do that? If any of you listening into this know anything about street combat, let's just call it street combat, because sadly you can get picked on in a pub, can't you? We've talked about not being there and situational awareness and all that till the cows come home, but you could get picked on in a nightclub, couldn't you? Just the same as you could get attempted to be dragged to a secondary location to be raped up a dark back alley, couldn't you? When you have got into that controlled arm bit and in somehow, some way, you have disabled your attacker, neutralized them, as it were, at that stage, I believe it is time to disarm the knife and not go down onto the ground if you are not making an arrest or a restraint. So moving on from all this, you go from this to this, switching, changing your shaping with how you're controlling the arm. That's the initial control, right? Then you lock it on to a stronger control, right? And then finally, you go back, you go to this with one arm, and then you start attacking with this, which I think is so ineffectual, but we'll come into that. I think is highly unrealistic, and there's better ways. If you've taken a sewing machine attack against a known violent criminal, completely unprovoked, it might be through mental illness, it might be through street robbery. They are trying to kill you. Street robbery, they just want to rob you. So this is somebody that is, if it's unprovoked, it probably is somebody that is mentally ill. And your options are running out damn quickly. They've tried to murder you and take your life through this, which if they've taken something, crack cocaine, it's going to be in a frenzy. That's why they call it the sewing machine thing. And it's highly dangerous because it's not, everything's done on the half beat, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. In between the 1 second and the 2 seconds, that is where that could penetrate straight through into your heart and kill you. So it's serious shit you're up against. So you've got this, and now you're releasing to this to do this rather ineffectual hammer fisting bit. And I was being told hammer fist onto the chest. What? I thought there and then, this guy doesn't know anything about anything of street violence, and quite frankly, I would question why he has become an instructor. But I don't want to be accused of being toxic in any way, so I'm not gonna say anymore. A far better way, surely, would be to use more fight stopping, end the threat techniques. So you've gone from here, and the Kalah instructors and students will know the bit where you've got a split second. This has got to be done on the half bit where you go up and in. One technique, up and in. Now, you're still holding. Now you can see, I've got this on firmly. It's not on light, is it? It's on firmly. It's around my windpipe. It's on firmly, but I can speak properly to you. I am not getting over anxious in any way, shape or form. And I think the applicable pressure here has to be congruent, running parallel with the attacker releasing the knife. When you get into this stage, you're now barking instructions, commands at the attacker. Drop that knife. And they're not dropping the knife, and they're still trying to break away. They're still trying to stab you, to murder you. What options do you have but to increase the pressure? Drop that knife, I'm telling you. Drop it right now. Do you get me? That is one way. Another way, which is equally fight stopping, end the threat, is to come up. You've done this, you've done this. You've disabled them, hopefully, with several knees into the groin, maybe a headbutt across the face, and they're a bit dazed and stunned anyway, but they are still trying to fight on because they're high on crack cocaine. This is unprovoked act, which is very real. That this will happen. That will be the attacker high. So, yeah, we've talked about that when we release it, and in the half beat, you get to that, and it's got to be darn quick. But you released it. You don't do it. I'm getting the protractor out. You release it. You knock that chin up. You knock it up, violent it hard, and then let it go down and get to there. Another one you can do. You can knock up the chin and let the hand slide underneath the nose, right? But as it slides up underneath the nose, your thumb is going right up the nostril, into the nostril. Grab the nostril, palm of the hand is now underneath that nostril, and you're pushing that nose back. Whilst you got that, and you are telling them to drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. Continually commanding them to drop the knife, drop the knife. Once they've dropped the knife, you can either kick it away if there aren't multiple attackers. Kick it away and say to somebody, don't touch that, pick up that knife, put your foot in it, or you put your foot in it. So there's your options to clear the knife, sharp-edged weapon. Now you can command the attacker, get down on your knees now. Lie down on your front. Lie down on your front or your back. Don't you move. If you know what's worth, don't you move. And if you think that they are going to move, if you think that there's nobody else about, and if you think that the threat is going to continue, then you have got to do something within to stop them from getting up. I've got to kill them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have got to do something proportional to prevent them from getting up off the ground to attack you again. And this time they could be successful, killing you, murdering you. I don't think there would be any court in the land that would convict, any jury, if it got to court, that would convict. Because was the self-defense justifiable? Well, they jumped out and attacked you. You were just walking home peaceably. They were high on crack cocaine. You just finished evening classes. So that's the first part of it, sewn up, and you've got the self-defense unequivocally. The judge would say unequivocally, Mr. Graves is 100% innocent, and you as the jury, it wouldn't even get a call. And the second thing is, which is the more important thing, proportionate violence to end a threat. That's what it's described as, proportional violence. And that really means equal violence. But do you know equal violence? Because I don't. And at the heat of the moment, it is, it's that you see the Grim Reaper pass you and everything in slow motion, because I've had issues with knives as well. It is horrendous. It is horrendous. But this is what Kalah Combat should be teaching. And I don't see it, folks. I don't see it. I don't see it. In closing, I just want to go back to this takedown bit, whilst I think it is critical. If there are multiple attackers, a punch-up has started outside a nightclub. Outside a pub, because invariably, a lot of the time, you certainly back in the 80s and 90s, you just walked straight in, and you wasn't getting searched for sharp edged weapons or anything like that. But what are you going to do if there's more than one attacker that's got a knife? You're dealing with hombre number one, and you've successfully carried out the control of the arm. Good for you. You've done the disabling bit. The guy's ready to go down onto the ground. You take them down onto the ground. Don't forget, I'm saying we're not dealing with seconds. We're talking about the half beat. And if you're a drummer or a musician, you'll know what a half beat is. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's between that 1 and 2 second. That is when you can get it. So as quick as you brought one hombre down successfully, you're going to get done. If there's more than one attacker, you are going to get done, because they are going to come in and stab you straight in the back. I've seen it happen. Not stabbed in the back, but I've seen one guy go down onto the ground, and then within minutes, they're like a pack of hyenas, his mates. They've just dragged him off and given him a kicking. Within quicker than a half beat. Instantaneously. So my question is, Kalah Combat, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Who you think, without getting your student killed in the process? Would not a far better way be of not taking them down to the ground when you know or you suspect there is a massive risk of multiple assailants becoming involved against you, wanting to get you, and they will get you if you go down onto the ground and give your back to them. They will get you. I don't care if you're Gracie Jiu-Jitsu experts from Brazil, they will get you. You will get done. Telling you that. So what do? The only thing you do is disarm the knife, get out of the line of fire. I get that. Deflect and parry the knife away. I get that. Control the free floating arm. I get that. Attack, attack, attack. That's where the fight starts from there. I dig that. So you've done all that. Now you need that to disarm them with the knife. Make sure that the knife has got to a place of safety, either under your foot or kicked away to somebody else that can stand there. Don't, because of as soon as you put your prints on, the attacker could have gloves on, couldn't they? As soon as they put your prints on the thing, and there's no CCTV around, what does the attacker say? He attacked me. My prints on the blade, officer. Right, I'm gonna defend this. Get a sharp lawyer saying, Mr. Smith, a bystander, was the attacker. He knows Mr. Graves. His prints were all over the knife, and yet my clients weren't. What have you got to say about that? They're taking one version of events against another version of events. Now put your foot on it, or kick it away. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Incidentally, they do that in Kalah. They pick the fucking knife up. I'm thinking, amateurs, what are you doing that for? If that assailant, which you probably would have on an unprovoked attack, street robbery, have gloves on. One would have thought. In a quiet location, which they'll pick that, where there's no CCTV, and there are places still in the UK where there aren't, it's one person's word against the other, and sharp lawyers can twist things around. But just remember that. You want to get them to disarm the knife, get the knife to wherever, safely away, and now use them as a barrier, a battering ram. It's the only possibility you've got of survival. I have sent some other videos that were deleted because of toxic individuals, most of which instructors of Kalah combat are lovely people. There's a very minor strain that are very, very toxic. Very, very toxic. And I won't mention names. Don't worry, I won't mention names. But see this as positive. Come back to me with some answers. Don't try and avoid it and scurry under a stone. Man up and deal with this inquiry. Okay? So that's my personification that's my review of Kalah Combat. I've finished with it now. I have moved on. I am now looking at pastures greener, which I think are much, much better. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Cliff Grace, Drama Boxing. Take care.